No matter where I go, I seem to see you standing.
Hello.
Then things
Keep
start
singing.
swinging, bells start their ringing, life has new meaning for me. That was our new theme song.
Greg, what do you think
Of what?
of Paula's singing?
That was a pretty good one. I mean, she's no Aretha Franklin, but it was pretty good.
Oh, Richard, opinion
R-S-P-E-C-T.
Of Aretha Franklin?
of Paula doing Aretha Franklin.
No, I don't think I could do Aretha Franklin. He's correct. I am no Aretha Franklin.
3-octave range.
Paula has a 3-octave range.
Aretha Franklin does.
Yeah.
What does that mean, 3-octave range?
That's rare. Most people have 2.
2?
But when you find somebody who has 3.
How many you have?
Eric Burden.
Eric Burden has
Starts
3?
out, there is a house, and the only thing began with his...
I remember when we saw him live, he had 4 octaves. Remember that, Paula?
No, that was
That was great.
That was 4 chins.
4 chins, right. Everything was either chins or octaves. He's quite a singer.
Well, we're going to say a little something about Kenny Vaughan's Freak Show. And Kenny isn't here tonight. Kenny has.
This will be the last Kenny Vaughan Freak Show, though, because we're changing the name to the Greg Sterling Show.
But we don't know exactly when that's going to happen.
Well, we know it's not going to be the Kenny Vaughan Freak Show after tonight. This is the last Kenny Vaughan Freak Show.
Or it says last Kenny.
He
Vaughan
never
Freak
comes
Show.
anyway, so.
We don't care about that.
Yeah, that
See,
name.
You are correct. Like, we don't know if it's going to happen. It's sort of like the flag on top of the South Carolina Capitol.
I knew we were going to segue in.
First, they had to take a vote as to whether or not they were going to vote on removing the flag. And that vote passed.
That was the second step, then. What was the second step?
Actually discussing whether they should remove it.
That was the second step.
Yeah, I don't know if they've done
it?
the second step yet, but you see,
Is it gone, though?
with the
or
Greg
is-
Sterling Show thing, the vote was taken that they're going to decide to remove it. Or change the name to the Greg Sterling Show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very similar in that regard.
Wow, it doesn't seem similar at all, Richard. I don't understand how that's... So it's good that... I thought it was interesting that people... A lot of these famous politicians, but I don't know who the hell they are on TV saying it's part of our tradition, and just because this guy mass murdered people, it's part of our tradition and heritage. And then the same people, they would show 10 days later, 6 days later, 3 days later saying, well, it's a symbol of racism and we're getting rid of it. And they said it's opposite within like 3 or 4 days, as soon as it became a political hotbed.
I didn't know you watched the news that much.
No, I got it from Jon Stewart.
Oh, they showed the juxtaposition
Oh,
of
of course.
the two? Okay.
You never saw Jon Stewart do that before?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, the juxtaposition. Oh, this is what he said 2 days later. It's a symbol of racism, and we will take it down. And it was before. I was like, well, we can't say anything because it's part of our heritage, and it's a wonderful, feeling about the Old South. And 2 days later, no, it's racism. It just implies racism. We have to get rid of it. Thank God it's being got rid of it. And it's funny, Kenny's not here because he represents black, and he would be saying, thank God it's gone. He identifies black, not represents black. He identifies black as black.
Yeah. But I'm surprised that this happened
So
as
quick.
quickly as it did. This has been going on for years, decades.
Since the 1800s.
Well, I mean, since the 60s when people started getting more, they started getting...
Oh, the Civil Rights Movement.
Right, the Civil Rights Movement, people were becoming more aware. People talked about this.
Since the 60s.
Yeah.
So now Leonard Skinner has to change their logo. Think about that. After all these years,
Aren't they all
42
dead?
years.
Isn't it? They should just...
No, there's one guy alive. The guitarist is alive.
It's a nice tombstone that says Leonard Skinner.
One of the
on
guitarists
it.
is alive. And he runs the show.
And he calls it Leonard Skinner.
But every time another band member dies off, when the bassist and the keyboard player died off, he had to give more of the percentage to their families to keep the band going. They said, well... they got to the point. Actually, Ronnie Van Zant's wife's really smart. She said, "Well, I'll let you use the name, even though it's really everyone thinking about Ronnie. It's like going to see, Jim Morrison. I mean, not with the doors like we saw without Jim Morrison.
The fake
and
doors.
Fake doors. When people go to see Leonard Skinner, they really think about Ronnie Van Zant. So Ronnie Van Zant's widow said, "You can bring the band back, but you got to have at least 3 original members. And if it dips below that, I'm going to take another huge cut." So one of them died. She got another huge cut of the profits for every tour. Another one of them died. She got another huge percentage of the profits. So now they're down to one guy. But she gets so much money out of it. They're like touring to pay for her lavish lifestyle, which she deserves because it's her husband. It was the whole damn band. Who's kidding who?
Well,
But they gotta change their logo now. After 42 years.
I didn't get to see them because
I know someone was constipated.
I was on a date where somebody had to go to the bathroom, and they couldn't go to the bathroom in a public restroom.
They couldn't go number 2 in a public restroom, so you had to leave. You missed Leonard Skinner.
I didn't really care about Leonard Skinner.
No,
it was
but
a
I'm just saying,
date.
no, you didn't care. You didn't care about the cars with Bob Seger. All right. So aren't you happy, Richard, that racism is over now in America?
Well, let's put it this way: if racism is, if a house is a metaphor for racism, removing the Confederate flag is like changing the curtains.
Whoa. Jesus.
That was a good one. That was a good analogy.
Don't you think having the first semi-African American president was also just like the curtains?
No, that would be bigger. That would be sort of like
it's bigger than the flag.
Yeah.
It's like having a new furnace.
Yes.
You were right. It's a new furnace.
New furnace.
And do you support the fact that now our president is in public for the first time ever? One of our presidents in public used the N-word last week.
Yeah, a lot of people made a big deal.
First time ever in public.
I thought that was remarkable. I thought that it was.
Why not? He said it in context, in appropriate context.
It was perfect. It was.
And also, if any president should say it in public, it would be him.
Right.
Right.
Come on.
Exactly.
Even though then John Stewart.
And he said it on a podcast.
I know.
And
a radio show.
He hasn't been. Well, he hasn't played the race card very, very much and very well.
But last week was an avalanche.
But I thought that he did a really good job with that.
He sang Amazing Grace at the church too.
That was for a president to step out of himself and sing Amazing Grace at somebody's funeral. I thought that was pretty.
Was it as good as Amanda Jaros's version?
I didn't know about that.
No.
No, it wasn't as good as Amanda Jaros's version. That we recorded in this room. That was a better version than the president's.
But the president, he just.
You've heard that on Sweet Jesus, the Amazing Grace version, right? Her version's way better than Brock's.
I don't think he even had it planned. I think he just broke into song.
No, he had it totally planned.
I don't
Mr.
know.
Politician.
It didn't feel like it.
Don't you know he has everything planned?
It.
Why else would he tell everyone he believes in God fervently, Come on. He's so smart. He's not going to believe in God fervently. No really smart person believes in God fervently, do they? Come on.
There actually are some.
A handful, but no, not politicians. They just got to play the card. He can't go around saying I'm not a Christian. He never got elected. Richard, right? He never got elected.
Well,
I
would like to say something about what you just said. You said no smart person believes in God fervently.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that smart people sometimes do very stupid things.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I'll give you an example.
Right.
This guy, he's the head of the research facility at a leading medical research thing, and he puts on his Twitter page, you might have seen this in the news, he puts working with female researchers, remember this?
I don't think
No.
He said is trying sometimes.
Oh yeah, I did hear about this.
Yeah, because when you tell them they're wrong, they start to cry.
Yeah, they start to cry, right.
All right. Now, what made that, I found that to be particularly weird that he would say that.
Yeah.
Because as a scientist,
he's so smart, he should know better.
There's a thing about inferences. So if I see, I saw yesterday I saw a swan and it was white, and then the day before I saw a swan that was white, and on TV I saw some swans that were white. Is that enough for me to say all swans are white?
Right. All women cry when you correct them.
Yeah. He's just talking to the women he's known in his limited experience.
And plus, I bet you it didn't happen to 100% of the women he corrected over the years. Just a few cried, so he said,
And a scientist should know you need a huge sample to make that kind of an inference.
Yeah.
But didn't he also say that he was saying it in a lighthearted kind of generalism?
He said that later, probably. They always say later on they were joking.
Maybe he said it later. He was
like,
joking,
unless they're Donald Trump, because he said Mexicans come here to rob from us, steal from us, and rape our women. That's what he said. You see that when he announced his candidacy?
Rape our women or rape us as a country?
He said rape. He said they come as rapists. So they didn't.
Rapists.
Yeah, but I mean, he went on. It wasn't. It sounded like we got to keep our women locked up. Because it didn't sound like raping our country. It sounded like. And he didn't change back on that and say it was a joke. That was the first thing he said when he was running when he announced his presidency.
He's insane.
I would have stopped these Mexicans. They come over here to rob, steal from us, and rape our women, or they're rapists. I mean, they're rapists. That's what he said. And of course, he's got because he's dealt with so many Mexicans over the years, and he knows they're all rapists and they're all
They're his
killers.
gardeners.
Yeah, of course they're his gardeners. But
That's all.
But then he did say, he said, I love Mexico. I love the Mexican people.
yeah,
But
I have the Miss Universe pageant for one thing, you know,
my loyalty is to the United States.
to the United States of America.
Yes.
Richard, I have noticed in the last maybe year that your number one soapbox item seems to be women and the rights of women.
Is that true, Richard? On the Facebook?
Not necessarily on just
I
on
don't
Facebook.
know.
I've
Do
noticed.
you care about it at all?
I do.
No, he
I
does.
You care about women's rights?
I've
Yeah, you know,
seen
class,
you-
race, and gender, the three
Yeah.
big things.
You care about class,
that-
race, and gender?
Yeah, that
I've-
need to be addressed.
Yeah, I've just.
But you're a
yeah.
rich white man, right?
Right.
So,
I'm rich.
You're richer.
well, we can't talk about how much money you have, right?
Well,
Not-
what is the threshold of rich?
Well,
What is the threshold? I'm saying,
it's all relative.
I'd say at least $500,000.
In what? Your
in everything.
retirement account?
Yeah, everything. $500,000.
Oh, that's a low threshold.
Well, so you're more than that, right?
Well, they said it right on the news that if you're going to retire, you need at least $1 million in your retirement account.
Well,
so you
that's
don't
not going to happen.
They're saying that to the average person.
Yeah.
You know, start saving now so that
Yeah.
by the time you retire,
You know how
have
poor people are in this world, in this country? There's
half of the people have zero saved up for the retirement in America.
All right. Well, anyways, you're a
I found that
comfortable
amazing.
white man, but you care about African Americans, women, and poor people. Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah.
And did you always feel this way, or is it new? Is it
Well-
newer? Is it from the 21st century, or did you feel this way when you were growing up in the 20th century, when you were an adult in the 20th century?
I started feeling this way when I went to college, and I started
so in the
opening up
70s?
my horizons. Yeah.
And you started thinking, why are women persecuted and people who are not white persecuted, and why are the poor persecuted?
Yeah. Well, I'll make that more succinct. How are you going to make the world a better place? What do you need to correct about it to make the world better?
And did you make it better in the last 40 years?
It isn't, the world doesn't change by one person doing something.
Did you change it at all in a little way, your own little personal world?
It's better to ask, did the world change?
Did the world change, Richard?
Yes. And what influenced the change of the world?
And is there anything that you did that helped influence it? Or?
Well, I participated in ideas.
And our ideas worth a lot in this world.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And that, yeah.
Absolutely. No, because the thing is, the whole idea of you getting those ideas out there and penetrating the gray matter of minds, even if it's only a little bit. Usually when you're writing about liberal things, you're only really reaching your liberal target audience. But if it's on television, and in sitcoms and things like that, you're reaching a wide. And even
like Will and Grace.
even if
right?
even if they're saying no, this isn't true, it's seeping in there, and
I agree.
it's infiltrating
So
their
Will and
mind.
Grace helped towards the gay marriage thing, didn't it?
Well, Will and Grace helped.
Was an example.
Any
Some Like It Hot helped. Some Like It Hot. Remember, because earlier, because Jack Lemmon said, "I'm the lucky girl."
Yeah.
Who's the lucky girl? I am.
Yeah, you don't like that movie, but I do.
No, I decided it's okay.
You did.
The last time
When
we
did that
watched it, we
happen?
watched it together recently. You might have forgotten already that I.
I did.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd like to give you a little anecdote about how ideas influence the course of history.
Go ahead.
King Louis XVI,
This is the 1400s.
1789.
Oh, so I was so close. I was only 300 years off.
Go.
He goes to the window, and there are protesters that have come to the palace, right? And with him is his servant, his lifelong trusted servant.
Sancho
Igor.
Panza.
And
Or Sancho
he
Panza.
looks out the window and he sees them, You know what I mean? And the king looks over at his servant and he says, whatever his name is, say Philippe or whatever, he
Igor.
says, it looks
Sancho
like
Panza.
it looks like we have a revolt. And you know what the servant said back?
We always have.
He said, "Sire, this is not a revolt. This is a revolution." And the king said, "Well, what's the difference?" And he said, "In a revolt, the revolt dies down and things go back to the way they were.
Revolution changed things.
In a revolution, you will have the same rights as I do.
Wow, that's
Now
horrifying.
that took a lot of guts for that
That
servant
They have
was, that
him
to
killed?
was
say
a servant
that.
or a fool? Because if it was a fool,
Well, in other words, that servant felt like maybe in prior times I wouldn't say this, but
Yeah.
it looks like this is going to happen.
That's why I inquired about your finances tonight. Because in prior times, I never would have done that. But now I'm like, what the fuck? Who cares? Things are changing so quickly and rapidly. And you care so much about the poor and the non-white and the broads, I guess, right? The dames. And how can you help them in the future through Facebook? Can you help people with your ideas on?
Yeah, you can spread ideas. Yeah.
yeah.
And sometimes you just spread ideas, although people turn on you, though. Isn't that true?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever had people turn on you for your being, pro all races, pro females, pro gay, pro poor? Have you had people turn on you for those things?
Well, sometimes people will attack my ideas.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will attack me,
They attack you. I know. I did.
Yeah,
they attack you.
which is kind of odd.
The ideas is
because
different.
they think they're going to defeat my ideas by attacking me.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have a friend in Mississippi who always does that.
Yeah, see, the
It's like if you attack religion because you think you're
some
going to attack
people
God. It's like
can't
it doesn't.
separate the two.
It's
Yeah,
separate.
I mean, it's sort of like a fallacy in reasoning, that if somebody, say, is in favor of, say, gay rights, you try to it's like they probably got it from shows on TV. You discredit the witness,
Right.
that kind of thing.
But you
But
can't.
not
Like
every-
Anita Hill.
but not
when
everybody's
Anita
on-
Hill said
yeah.
about Clarence Thomas, the opposition went and tried to discredit her.
Right.
Who else have you said these things about and stuff like that?
Right. Well, that's why we all know that Bill Cosby's guilty because it's 40 women. And there's no chance that 40 women would all come up and say, back in 74, back in 76, back in 78, back in 81, back in 80. I mean, come on, there's no way. And they're not even getting book deals out of it or money. They're just saying it all happened to them. And 40 of them. Come on. Right, Paula?
Yeah, well,
But you still bought that Bill Cosby album recently and listened to it today.
I bought it for
How was that?
$1.99 as a cultural
It doesn't bother you that
artifact.
doesn't bother you what Bill Cosby
No,
is. You still buy his records. Used though. And cheap.
He's
Used
not-
and cheap,
he's
Paula.
not making.
No, he's not making any profit
That's
off
how
it.
I felt when Bill Cosby.
Yeah, I know.
Used
And then
and cheap.
and that's why you bought a used cheap record of his, the best of Bill
I
Cosby.
woke up and I was on the couch and he
Yeah.
was gone. My
And he was.
body
Was it funny though?
I could tell
was
my
it a funny
body had been
experience?
tampered with.
Was it a funny experience? I mean, you get a lot of laughs looking back on it now. You know how people laugh about horrible things later? Like, we'll laugh about this in years
Oh
to
no,
come.
I got some horrible things I haven't been able to laugh
No, I'm saying
about.
with the Bill Cosby situation.
The Bill Cosby situation, yeah, it was fun. It was fun while it lasted.
So it's great. Now so Richard, you're happy with this week. You got the taking down of the flag a lot of places. People want to ban it. And then you got the gay marriage thing is going all across the country
It's
now.
a good week for the
Supreme Court.
left. It is.
Yeah, it was.
So you feel
definitely.
good week for the left.
I think the president
And actually there's a-
got to be happy leaving all these legacies behind. 'Cause,
with
I mean,
Obamacare this week, with the gay rights thing and the gay marriage thing, and then you got the getting rid of the flag. And actually, you hardly ever have that silver lining to super horrible tragedy so quickly. That super horrible tragedy that white supremacists killing
immediate.
9 people.
After praying with them for an hour.
Yeah, he prays them for an hour, then he takes
What
the
do you
gun
make
out.
of that?
Yeah, Michael, why don't you chime in once in a while?
and that's-
I'm running the camera.
We don't give him.
what-
we don't
What
give
do I?
him
What do I?
What was in his prayers? Please help me.
I think all
Please,
he
God,
was-
help me do a good job. I'm about to kill these people.
He wasn't,
I want to get as many as possible.
my opinion was he wasn't praying with the people. He was waiting for his moment.
In his mind, something
He was-
totally different
he
was
was-
going
If
on.
I mean, he wasn't
He
the
was
type
preying
obviously
on them.
walked right in and said. I wanted to get you on camera.
You know what it reminds me
He
of?
wanted to walk right in and say, I'm gonna do this. He had to sit.
It was like the
and build
Godfather.
up.
It was like Michael Corleone, the
At the
Godfather.
baptism.
No, not the baptism.
No.
Well,
Oh, when he got the medal.
no, not that time either. The
What?
time
No, when he was sitting-
No, I'm saying he goes in the restaurant and he goes to get the gun
Yeah.
and he's supposed to come out blazing and
Yeah.
and he freaks out. He's thinking.
Exactly.
So he comes out instead of shooting them both in the head like he's supposed to. He walks out. He sits
And you
down
can
again,
see he's
and you see him thinking. He's like
contemplating.
thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking,
Yeah.
and just like that guy, he's like in there right. He wanted to do it, but he didn't have the guts right off the bat or the nerves. He was like thinking and thinking for an hour, not praying, but thinking like. And then finally,
Finally.
and that's what Michael Corleone does in that scene. He kills both of them, and it's just very similar because it's not like everything.
To the to
Not
the
Sopranos.
Godfather. The Godfather.
Like Ed Cardone, who was on Jeopardy this week.
Oh, yeah.
He does the same thing.
Did he win?
No, he lost.
Oh no, he lost. He was
Loser.
He was. I mean, he was very nervous the first couple questions, and then he calmed down.
I'm proud of him for going on there because
it'd be
I went on the
nerve-wracking.
easiest game show of all time and won, but it was ABC. And who played Hogan in Hogan's Heroes? Was it Robert Crane, Robert Smith, or Robert Jones? I'm going to go with Robert
Stuart Margolin?
Crane. It's
Stuart Margolin.
Angel. I went on the easiest game show of all time with the easiest questions, and they still give you multiple choice. And they ask only your team. Meanwhile, in Jeopardy, it's a whole different. It's the ultimate. I mean, I'm really impressed with Edmund Cardone
And the guy
his
that won,
guts.
the guy that is winning, he's got
a super winner.
Asperger's or something. He's got one of those
Asperger's.
minds
Hey.
that.
So he was competing against somebody who was more or less in a different league.
Oh, he's kind of got one of those weird minds that remembers things and
Don't we all?
not like yours.
No, I'm like there's too much remembering going on.
I know.
Remembering is bad.
Well, it helps you not make the same mistakes twice.
What was that sentence?
It helps you
Helps you stop not making the same mistakes twice?
It helps you not make the same mistakes twice.
No,
Unfortunately,
it helps you stop not making the same mistakes.
I am one of these people with a bad memory, and I would do the same dumb things over and over again until finally I stopped doing them.
I have this little cartoon that I've been sending around at work that I found, and it's got a bunch of people, and it's like a protest rally, and the leader's like, "What do we want?" And they all shout back, "Better memory." And he says, "When do we want it?" And they go, "When do we want what?"
Sorry, we don't do cuteness on this show.
Oh, okay.
This is
Sorry.
not cute shit.
Can I bring something up?
No.
When we were talking about Bill Cosby before,
said no.
this is
asked me.
interesting. Okay.
I'm kidding, of course.
I know. When we were talking about Bill Cosby before, and it brought up to mind, we were talking about Paula was going
William
through
Cosby.
her past life experience with Bill Cosby.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I read something that my living daughter posted on Facebook.
One who's not dead.
One of the two living daughters that I have. Hi, kids. And it mentioned that they've done research studies where you can be made to believe that you committed a crime that you didn't commit. 70% of people who were in this study were able to be convinced that they committed a crime. And in fact, were so convinced that they produced detailed accounts
Are you saying
of the
that
crime
he's
itself
not,
that never occurred.
Are you saying he's not guilty?
And I'm saying
I don't think 40 people would have come forward. 40 people?
Greg's point about 40 people.
That's
I mean,
not the same
how is
thing,
it possible
Michael.
for 40 people to come forward and say something? But if somebody had the idea that Bill Cosby had done something to them, did it actually happen, or did they make themselves believe that it happened? Was it
I could see if it was one person, but not 40 people.
40 people, come on.
Yeah, I don't see
That's a
it.
big-
I don't
that's a
see
big
it happening
group.
with
That's like
40
the Ellis.
people.
That's like the Ellis's restaurant thing. If one person does it, it's something. But if if
What's the
40
Ellis's
people do it, it's a
restaurant thing?
movement.
So
Ellis's
you're
restaurant.
implying, Michael, that it's possible that this kind of sociological phenomenon took place where these women might have actually fabricated something about
All
Bill
40 of them
Cosby?
fabricated?
I didn't imply that. I inferred that.
That's a horrible thing that you're saying. You said that all
Yeah,
40 people,
because-
all of them fabricated it?
Because we were
Would you tell them
watching-
if they were here in the room? Yeah, you probably all fabricated it, all 40 of you.
No, because they'd accuse me of something then.
Well,
Well,
it seems ridiculous because
yeah,
you wouldn't say
because-
it to one person. Say, all 40 of you,
Okay,
you'd probably
it-
give
it
it
might
to
be-
Kind of sounds like
fabricating it.
something a defense attorney
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah,
Michael, I know
Leaky.
lots of women, and I'm
True.
I'm older, so
Right.
I've met a lot of women, and I think every single woman I've ever spoken to, including myself, has had some instance of being raped.
This is a real serious show tonight, Paula. Are you sure you want this on video?
I don't know. Well, I mean, this
is a really serious episode of the Kenny Vaughan's Freak Show.
There's a difference between, I mean, there's people you know, there's non-consensual, there's all different things. Every single person I've ever spoken to,
wow.
Every woman I've ever spoken to has had some instance where she has said no and something has happened anyway.
Are you, when you mentioned that,
Jesus
an element of rape, you're being inclusive of everything.
I'm saying somebody says no and they mean no and something happens anyway because they're
okay, but not necessarily physical rape.
Physically weaker. No, I'm talking about rape.
Are we?
She doesn't mean it metaphorically.
Are we keeping this on the show, or is this going on YouTube?
Well,
why?
This sounds the kind of thing you would say. I don't want that on YouTube.
No, I know. I mean, it's not unusual. But what I'm saying is, it's not unusual. Every single person.
I know you told me this.
Every woman.
No.
But I mean, I'm not going into detail about what happened.
No, but you've told me this many times off air. But I'm surprised you're saying it on. We're putting this on YouTube. I'm surprised.
No, it's fine.
You want to tell Richard to just stop this show? We won't show this show.
Well, no, it's your show.
Or we could stop it at this point, maybe, or something before.
What is the policy of the Greg Sterling show as far as censorship?
No.
Well, you can't say the word "gun" on the Greg Sterling show, as you know.
How about a lesbo?
I just
say lesbo.
All I was trying to do is make a point about the fact that kind of thought process that people can convince themselves that something happened that didn't. The women I've spoken to and the situations were a lot of times what is referred to as date rape.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is...
I just want to, because I want to make a point, because what he said was a dangerous idea. It was a dangerous idea that 40 women made up that this guy...
I thought that's what I was saying about him. Yeah. He wouldn't say it to them when they were here. He wouldn't be saying you're all making it up.
Yeah,
I mean, that's horrible.
It's a dangerous idea.
But what I'm saying is maybe we should, Richard should show like the first 20 minutes of this show and not air this part, the last 10 minutes.
No. I mean, you
can show a 20-minute thing.
I'm in favor of showing the whole show.
Yeah,
I know, but I was asking if Paula wants to change her mind now.
No, I'm fine with it.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand the controversy.
I think it's outrageous that you would say these 40 women are possibly all making it up. That's controversial.
Before my client is taken off to jail, I would like to say something in his defense.
Yes, go ahead, attorney.
Have you ever heard of the Julius LaRosa Arthur Godfrey story?
No, I was out of town during that period.
Arthur Godfrey, in the 1950s, he had a TV show.
I remember
and it
that.
aired from, I think it was 10 o'clock in the morning until 11.
At night?
In the morning.
Oh, okay.
1 hour on TV.
13 hours.
However, he was on radio before he was on TV. And he had a 2-hour show on the radio.
Did you on the same day, like 8 to 10 or something?
Well, when the TV people came and said, we'd like to put your show on TV, and he said, okay, but they said for an hour.
Yeah,
he said, well, I'm going to keep the show on the radio for the 2 hours. You just film the first hour.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right?
Yeah.
So he just kept doing what he always did, but they just filmed the first hour.
Right.
Well, he had a singer on the show named Julius LaRosa, young guy. The ladies loved him, up and coming, real bright star.
Right.
One day, Julius LaRosa came to him and he said, we're signing our contracts for next year, Arthur, and I just want to let you know I have an agent. So you won't be talking to me, you'll be talking to my agent. Arthur Godfrey was like, nobody tells me to talk to an agent, I don't like this. So Arthur went to CBS and he said, I'm going to get rid of this guy. I don't want any of the people on my show having agents. This is outrageous. CBS said, do what you want to do, Arthur. It's your show. So what Arthur did is the next show, Julius LaRosa was scheduled to perform. And he gets a note. You won't be performing in the first 20 minutes. Wait for the second 20 minutes. He said, okay, he's sitting there. Gets another note. You won't be in the second 20 minutes. Wait for the final 20 minutes. Waiting. Then he gets another note. It'll be in the second half on the radio. Okay?
Yeah.
Finally, at the very end of the show, in the final 20 minutes, Arthur Godfrey announces Julius LaRosa, and he says, I know all you ladies are waiting for Julius. Well, he's here. He's going to sing for you. He's going to sing this song of his, so-and-so. And I'm sorry to say, Julius is going to be his last song on the show. And I wish him the best of luck in all the endeavors that he does from now on. Okay? All right, so Julius comes out to sing a song. He didn't know about any of this. He got fired. But it was so nice, So he went along with it. But then he immediately went to the press and he said, I got fired. Well, believe it or not, this is where your thing comes in. To this day, there are people who saw Julius LaRosa fired on the Arthur Godfrey show.
They're making it up in their mind.
They must have read the paper and thought
Right.
that they saw it.
Oh, this is
Actually,
like
I know what you're really.
Brian
I know what you're really.
Williams.
You know what you're really making me think is it's pretty obvious. Michael, camera on you, please. 9 seconds, 8 seconds. Camera on you. Yeah, you're